Hello, everyone. Quinn Henderson here. I'm just going to walk you through how to use Google Slides as a prototyping tool. And so there's one really beneficial way to be able to use this to create a prototype. If you're like me, you probably don't have a lot of coding skills, but you know in Google Slides you can link to different slides and it doesn't have to necessarily be linear. But I want to show you kind of what I've used in the past to prototype some things, create some games, and so on. So the first thing that you're looking at right now is I've embedded a presentation of a game or slides of a game that I created for some teachers. Now you can see that down below this, there's this black line or control bar that lets you just advance the slides through there. And I didn't want the teachers to be able to advance those slides. I wanted them to have to go through this little game in a particular path. So they'd have to click on certain tiles. It would take them to one clue, and the next step they'd have to do it in a certain order, and that would reveal a web address that they would have to go to. And so I didn't want them to just advance through the slide and find the slide that was that key slide that would give them the answer. So what I found was some code out there that would remove that bar across the bottom. So you can see down here in this next example that there is no bar across the bottom. So that prompts them to click on Start Game and then start to click on the ones that they need to click on to reveal the rest of the web address. If at any point they get stuck, they can click Reset and start again. And then you can see, of course, this is invalid address was the one that they needed to complete to get to the final clue. So I'm going to walk you through a couple of steps and tips that I have in creating all of this, but you can probably see how this might be helpful to prototype a particular application or a website where the logic isn't completely linear, and you can use Google Slides to link that. So first of all, I'm going to show you this entire slide setup that I created. This slide presentation of this little game or challenge that I have actually has over 500 slides in there, but you don't have to create each of those individually. A lot of those are like decoy slides to help prevent them from discovering the clue when they shouldn't, and encourage them to use the right path to get through the game. So what I did when I started creating this game, and you can think of this in terms of creating a game or prototyping something, is I kind of begin with the end in mind, and what do I want them to be able to see? So what I did is I created a master slide with all of these tiles here, and then I decided which ones I would want to remove to reveal the full or the remaining web address. So then that would be this slide right here, which is BB2018. It's at a nexus was the rest of that URL. And so that's where I wanted them to get to. And then I could just copy and paste those kind of going backwards. Now, the way this works is I took these album arts or these album covers, and then I would link them, hyperlink them to the next correct slide. So beginning with this one right here, you can see that slide 4.1 is where it's linked to. So that would take them to the next slide, and then 5, 6, and so on. So I created this so each slide was the next portion of the clue. Now, one of the cool things about Google Slides is that if I were to change the order of these slides, all of the links that I created, so if an album art went to slide 4 originally and I moved slide 4, it would follow wherever that slide went. So what I can do is I can set up my game or my challenge or my app however I want, and then I can go back and duplicate these slides. So I made a bunch of these slides just blank, where if they clicked on something or found a way to advance to the next slide, they basically see the same thing and really think that nothing even happened. And that would encourage them to keep continuing to click on the album art. And I also went through when I created the final version. So I would take a lot of these slides and I would change these, the URL components here, to be something other than what they really are to throw them off. So my goal was to get them to use the clues that they had discovered at to this point to get them through this particular challenge. I didn't want them to find that any other way. So on this starting slide, for example, I just hyperlinked start game to this starting slide number 3, and then it functioned and worked like an app as it went through there. You can see how this would be helpful in prototyping a tablet or phone app as well as a web app. And some of the things that you can do that you might think about if you are doing some of those is to go to File and Page Setup. Then you can change the actual dimensions of your slides to maybe look more like a mobile phone screen or a tablet screen. So you can change all of those settings there. So once I have this game or this app prototyped out and the logic there. I can always test it by going into the presentation mode. Then I need to embed that into a website. So the first thing I'm going to do is go File, and then I'm going to go to Publish to the web, and then I'll publish this. You'll have to click the Publish button. I've already done that here, and I'll get this embed code. So in the description of this video, I put a link to this document, this prototyping document, which has the HTML code that you need. So we'll go here and we'll go to our slideshow. We'll go to Publish to the web. I'll get this embed code here. And then I'll go back to this prototyping with Google document. And this bold iframe part here, I'm just going to highlight that and paste in the code from my slide. And that's all you'll need to do to update the code to show your slide. The next thing I'll do is I'll copy and highlight all of this code. And now I could go over to Google Sites. And let me get back into edit mode. I'm just going to delete these out here. So now in Google Sites, with just a straight embed feature that they just enabled, I can click on embed, click on embed code, and then I can paste that entire code in there, click next. It will render a preview. I'll click insert. Now when you do this, this presentation doesn't really scale that well in Sites, and maybe you're savvy enough with code to enhance that code that I've provided and make it work a little bit better. By all means, feel free. So I click and drag and resize that box so it's got my whole presentation there. And now when I click preview, you can see that it doesn't have that control bar across the bottom. It doesn't have the advanced slides and so on. So it really doesn't even look like a slide presentation. And so if people follow the logic, they can click Start Game and start clicking on the pieces they need to get through the game. And at any point they get hung up, they can click Reset, of course, and you can test out or prototype your app or create games that way. So if you have a question, feel free to leave it in the comments. I'll try and answer it in case I've missed anything, but good luck in your prototyping.